In this video, we are going to build our very first provider that sits between our UI and the API service. So by the end of this video, our application will load Todos from the ASP.NET Core backend and display them on the UI with proper loading, success, and error states. So let's build it. Let's start by creating a new file called TodoProvider.dart in the providers folder. Inside this file, let's create a class called TodoProvider. This class is going to be responsible for managing everything related to our Todos. Next, we will extend this class using change notifier. And the reason we are doing that is because whenever our data changes, we need a way to tell the UI that it should update itself. And that's exactly what change notifier gives us through notify listeners. Next, let's add a constructor. Instead of creating the Todo service directly inside this provider, we will inject it through the constructor. If no implementation is provided, we will use our Todo service API IMPL implementation. Although this might seem like a small detail, it gives us much more flexibility. For example, during unit test, we can easily inject a mock implementation without changing our provider. Next, let's think about what information our UI actually needs when fetching Todos from the API. First, obviously, we need the list of Todos. So let's start with the first property underscore Todos. This list stores all the Todos that we receive from the API. And notice that it's private. It's because the provider should have complete ownership of its state. If another class could modify this list directly, the provider would have no idea that its data had changed. Keeping the state private ensures that every modification happens inside the provider itself. Second, we need to know if something went wrong. So let's create our next property underscore error message. Whenever something goes wrong while calling the API, we will save the exception message here. The provider is not responsible for displaying the error. Its responsibility is simply making that information available to the UI. Third, the UI needs to know what's currently happening. Is data loading? Did it load successfully or did something fail? Instead of using multiple Boolean variables, we will create an enum called Todo load state with 4 states: initial, loading, success, and failed. Next, we will create a property called underscore load state to keep track of the current state of our API request. When the provider is first created, nothing has happened yet. So the state starts as initial. When we start fetching the Todos from the API, it will change to loading. If the request completes successfully, it will become success. And if the request fails for any reason, it will become failed. Using an enum simplifies the code significantly because only one state can be active at a time. Now that we have defined our private properties, the next question is, how does the UI access this information? And the answer is through getters. Let's start with Todos getter. At first glance, you might be wondering why are we returning an unmodifiable list view instead of simply returning underscore Todos. The reason is to protect our internal state. An unmodifiable list view gives widget read-only access to the list. They can iterate over it but cannot modify it. The only place where the to-do list should ever change is inside this provider. The remaining two getters are much simpler. They simply expose the current error message and the loading state to the UI. Again, the provider remains the single source of truth. Now comes the exciting part. Let's implement the method that actually fetches our Todos from the backend. I will create a new asynchronous method called getTodos. The first thing I'm going to do is clear any previous error message. Why we do this? Imagine the previous request failed because there was no internet connection. The provider would still contain that old error message. Now suppose the user taps retry and this time the request succeeds. If we never clear the previous error, our provider would still be holding on to an error message that no longer exists. So before starting a new request, it's always a good idea to reset the previous error state. Next, I will update the loading state. At this point, the provider knows that an API request has started, but our UI doesn't know that yet. And that's why the very next line is probably one of the most important line. Notify listeners. Whenever we change the provider state, we need to notify every widget that's listening to it. As soon as this line executes, our UI rebuilds. Since the load state is now loading, the screen can immediately display a progress indicator. And this is what makes the UI feel responsive. Instead of waiting for the network request to finish, the user instantly gets feedback that something is happening. Now it's time to fetch the to-dos. This line should look familiar because we are using the to-do service that we built in the previous video. The provider doesn't know anything about HTTP. It doesn't know anything about JSON. Its only responsibility is asking the service for data. The service returns a list of to-dos, and we are simply storing that list inside our private property. Once the request succeeds, we update the load state to success. Now our provider has everything the UI needs. It has the to-do list and it knows the request completed successfully. But API requests don't always succeed. The user might lose an internet connectivity. The server could return an error, or something unexpected might happen. That's why let's add a try-catch block and catch our custom app exception. Inside the catch block, I will first update the load state to failed and then store the exception message in error message. Notice that I'm not deciding how the error should be displayed here. The provider's job is simply to expose the state. Later, our UI will decide whether that message should appear in an error widget or a dialog or a snack bar. Separating those responsibilities keeps the provider focused entirely on state management. Finally, let's look at the last part of the method. Now, you might be wondering, why are we calling notify listeners again? Earlier, we called it to notify the UI that loading had started. Now we need to notify it one more time because the request has finished. Whether it succeeded or failed, the provider state had changed again. Maybe the loading indicator needs to disappear, maybe the to-do list needs to be displayed, or maybe an error message should be shown. By placing notify listeners inside the finally block, we guarantee that the UI is updated regardless of the outcome of the API request. Our getTodos implementation within the to-do provider is now complete. It knows how to fetch the to-dos from the API. It tracks the current loading state. It stores any error messages. It keeps the list safe from external modification. And most importantly, it notifies the UI whenever something changes. The next step is to register to-do provider with our application. Until we register it, widgets in our application can't access the to-do provider through the widget tree. So let's switch over to main.dart. And here I'm going to wrap the root of our application with multi-provider. You might be wondering why I'm using multi-provider when we only have a single provider. However, later in the series, we will create a settings provider to manage our application settings. Therefore, starting with a multi-provider approach makes sense. Later, we will simply add a settings provider to the list. Next, let's register our to-do provider. Since to-do provider extends change notifier, we register it using change notifier provider. Change notifier provider invokes the create callback to create the provider instance, makes it available to the descendant widgets, and automatically dispose it when it's removed from the widget tree. You will also notice that we are simply creating the to-do provider without passing a to-do service. That's because we designed the provider's constructor to use to-do service API IMPL as the default implementation whenever a service is not provided. Finally, notice the material app is placed inside multi-provider. This means every widget below it in the widget tree can access the same provider instance, giving us a single source of truth for our to-do feature. At this point, our to-do provider is registered with the application. But if we run the app now, the screen is still going to be empty. Why? Because registering a provider only makes it available in the widget tree. It doesn't automatically execute any of its business methods. If we want to fetch the to-dos, we need to explicitly call getTodos. So the next question is, when should we make that API call? Ideally, we want to fetch the data as soon as the to-do screen is displayed. Since init state is only called once when the widget is first inserted into the widget tree, it's a natural place to trigger our initial API request. To do that, I will first convert to-do screen from stateless widget to stateful widget. Now let's override the init state method, call getTodos, and let's run the application. Here we are getting a Flutter error, set state or mark needs build called during build. So why did this happen? The problem is not context.read. Calling context.read inside init state is perfectly valid because it simply gives us access to the provider without listening for changes. The problem occurs inside getTodos. As soon as getTodos starts executing, it updates the provider state to loading and immediately calls notify listeners. When notify listeners is called, every widget listening to this provider is asked to rebuild. However, Flutter is still in the middle of building the first frame of the screen. Since a rebuild is requested before the current build is finished, Flutter throws an exception. If I comment out the notify listeners inside getTodos and run the application again, everything works. The Flutter error is gone. But we need notify listeners to update the UI whenever a provider state changes. So how do we fix this? Instead of calling getTodos immediately, we will delay the API call until after Flutter has finished rendering the first frame by wrapping it inside the widget binding.instance.addPostFrame callback. The addPostFrame callback method schedules the callback to run immediately after the first frame has been rendered. At this point, the initial build is complete. So it's safe for getTodos to update the provider, call notify listeners, and trigger widget rebuilds. Now, if we run the application again, the error is gone. Inside the callback, I'm intentionally using read instead of watch. The difference is simple. Watch subscribe the widget to changes in the provider and rebuilds it whenever the provider calls notify listeners. Read, on the other hand, simply gives us access to the provider without listening for changes. Since we are only triggering a method, read is the right choice here. Next, the only thing left is to build a UI that listens to provider state changes and update itself automatically. And that's exactly where the consumer comes in. Let's start by wrapping the body of our scaffold with consumer TodoProvider. Consumer TodoProvider listens to the state changes from TodoProvider. Whenever TodoProvider calls notify listeners, the builder callback is immediately invoked again with the TodoProvider instance, rebuilding only the widget subtree written by the builder. And this is one of the reasons I like using consumer. Instead of rebuilding large portions of the UI, we can rebuild only the part of the widget tree that depends on the provider. In our case, since we are wrapping only the body of the scaffold, the app bar and other widgets outside the consumer won't rebuild when provider state changes. Now that we have access to the provider, let's decide what the UI should display. Here we will use to-do load state enum, which represents different states of the API request. So rather than writing multiple if statements, I'm going to use a switch statement on TodoProvider.loadState. This makes it very easy to understand what the UI should look like for each state. Let's begin with loading state. Here we will display a circular progress indicator while the request is in progress. Remember what happens inside getTodos? As soon as we change the load state to loading, we called notify listeners. That immediately causes the consumer to rebuild. And since the current state is now loading, the progress indicator is displayed. The nice thing is that we didn't manually show or hide anything. The UI is simply reacting to the provider's current state. Next, let's handle the failure case. If the API request throws an exception, the provider stores the error message and changes the load state to failed. So here, for the failed state, we will simply display that error message. Again, notice that the UI is not deciding what the error should be. It's simply displaying the state that the provider exposes. Now let's move on to the success state. The first thing I will do is retrieve the to-dos from the provider. Since the provider has already fetched the data, all we need to do here is display it. For the UI, I'm going to use custom scroll view because we will be displaying our to-dos using a sliver list. Notice that we are also setting physics property to always scrollable scroll physics. This allows the user to scroll even when there is little or no content. This becomes especially useful when we add pull to refresh. Next, let's handle one scenario. What if the API request succeeds but returns an empty list? Instead of showing a blank screen, we will first check whether the list contains any to-dos data. If the list is empty, we will display a friendly message. Otherwise, if the list contains data, we will display it using sliver list. For displaying the empty state message, we are using sliver fill remaining. Sliver fill remaining sizes its child to fill the remaining space in the viewport, making it easy to center our empty state on the screen. Notice that we are also setting HScrollBody to false, as our empty state is not scrollable. And finally, we are displaying the list of to-dos using sliverList.builder. It lazily builds only the items that are visible on the screen, making it an efficient way to render large list. Inside the item builder, we retrieve the to-do item at the current index and display its title and description using list style. You will also notice that I have assigned a value key using Todos ID. A key gives each item a unique identity. When we start adding, editing, or deleting to-dos in the upcoming videos, Flutter will use this key to correctly identify which items are changed, instead of relying only on its position in the list, resulting in smoother and more efficient UI updates. And with that, our success state is complete. Now let's run the application. As soon as the to-do screen opens, the first thing you will notice is the loading indicator. That's because our provider immediately changes its state to loading and calls notify listeners. Once the API request completes successfully, the state changes to success. The UI rebuilds and our list of to-dos is displayed automatically. So our loading and success states are working exactly as expected. Now let's verify the empty state. Instead of deleting all the to-dos from the database, I will simply remove the underscore to-dos variable where we assign the API response to it inside getTodos method. This simulates an API response with an empty list while keeping the rest of our logic unchanged. If I restart the application, the request still succeeds. But since provider has no to-dos to display, our empty state appears with the message encouraging the user to create their first to-do. Finally, let's verify the failed state. In To-Do Service API AMPL, I will temporarily throw a server exception after making the API request. This simulates a server failure. Now, if I restart the application, the provider catches the exception, update its state to failed, and the UI immediately switches to our error screen. And that's exactly what we wanted to achieve. Before we wrap up this video, let's add one final improvement to our to-do screen, pull to refresh. This is a feature users expect in almost every modern mobile application. And the good news is that Flutter makes it incredibly easy to implement. I will wrap our custom scroll view with refresh indicator. The onRefresh callback expects a method that returns a future. Since getTodos already return a future, it seamlessly integrates into this callback, enabling us to refresh the data without any additional code. Now let's run the application. When I pull down, the refresh indicator appears. The same getTodos method is called again, and the provider fetches the latest to-dos from the API. Once the request completes, the UI updates automatically. And that's it. We have loaded the data from the API, handled loading, success, empty, and failed states, and added pull to refresh as well, all while keeping our data fetching logic in a single place. Now that our list is working, it's time to make it look great. In the next video, we will build a modern to-do item widget and transform this basic list into a polished user interface. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Happy coding!